And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. Trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon and welcome to the market recap. Still Fat Tuesday, March the 1st. Happy we're finally to March. I feel like we've survived yet another cold winter. And our markets are surviving as best they can. We all know what's going on in the world. There's a lot that the U.S. equities are bearing as heavy weight. Just to name a few, of course, the war in Ukraine. This evening, we are going to be able to watch the State of the Union address. A lot of what he's going to be talking about, we can count on being Ukraine. I know that Biden spoke to the Ukrainian president just today. We were facing energy dependency and supply questions. Crude, trading well over $100 today. Monetary policy testimony in Congress the next 2 days. Unemployment numbers the next 3 days. Inflation, of course, still remains an issue. Many other known economic releases. And almost minute-to-minute headline risks. So when you think about it, how is the market doing through all of this? And with all of these uncertainties, and we all know markets don't like uncertainties, I would have to say that the market is actually holding up well. The next three sessions, I think, are going to present some possibly unprecedented risks and some possibly unprecedented rewards. So much is uncertain. We can take care of some of these uncertainties. That would certainly do a lot for shoring up the U.S. equities. But of all of these things that we've got going on, I think most important is that we have to remember to pray for peace, pray for freedom, and pray for strength. The resiliency of the Ukrainian people has really been amazing. They are amazing people. As far as the markets today, we saw upside continuation, bringing in volume and a test possibly of approaching the June 2014 swing high that we talked about this morning at 107.68. We got about 80 ticks from that today before the market finally settled down a little bit. The E-mini and the Nasdaq remained steely, hedging, facing uncertainties. Most of them, had a net change of approximately 1.5% losses. The Dow was teetering right around a 600-point loss as it was coming into the close. We're going to have to wait and see how all this information comes out, how it's all digested. We know that the investors, traders, everybody we're going to be very, very closely watching all of this information due out in the next three sessions. Gold breakout continuation above the weekly kickoff high on just okay volume. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how the open interest responded to that today if we brought in new business to the upside. Euro closed below weekly kickoff low. This is the lowest close since May of 2020 as the dollar continues to creep towards its 52-week high. The 10-year rates continue to slide, bringing upside continuation. Volume still a little bit blurry due to rollover, as well as open interest is still going to be a little bit blurry. And the nat gas stays range bound now 9 straight days. Support at weekly kickoff low in the session today. Watching into the close here, our equities put in new lows and buyers came in and scooped up some of those bargains down there. We're looking at markets that are largely kind of hedging, positioning for anything that may happen in the next 3 days. I know, it's going to be very important for investors and traders to be watching the State of the Union address tonight. However you feel about the politics and the president, whatever he talks about today is going to be impactful, as well as everything else we've got coming out in the next 3 sessions. As far as the news is concerned, a lot of talk about the Ukraine-Russia conflict intensifying. Lots of suggestions for Chairman Powell to be very careful with what he talks about this week to try and calm markets. Mortgage rates continue to fall, just as home prices are setting another record. A lot of investment in Russia is being cut off. A lot of companies are divesting themselves from Russia. Just a lot of discussion about this whole situation, and a lot of politicians talking about the U.S. Should target Russian oil and boost our own production. That seems to make sense to me. Some people aren't going to be all that happy about that with the climate change and all of that going on, but what does it matter who's drilling the oil? It's going to take time for us to get away from fossil fuels, and in the meantime, we can cut off Russia's lifeline to cash. You have to see how this all plays out. So hopefully you've had a good trading day. Some folks have probably thought it was a really good day. Some maybe not so much. I know Vince is talking about kind of a whippy close, and yeah, it was pretty whippy. I mean, we put in new lows, and yet again, buyers came in and scooped up some of those discounts. Spencer didn't think the S&Ps could close above 43. I'm seeing right now on this platform that they've got settlement showing at 43.0375. That's pretty quick to get settlement up there. It's going to be close to that, but yeah, it did close above 4,300. Tachyon, good afternoon. Laura, good afternoon, and I appreciate, Laura, you continuing to pray, as we all should be and all are, I'm sure. Dan had another good trading day. That's awesome. Phil Kuhn, good to see you. Terry King, good afternoon. U.S. opening range broke down and then cleared the way for a downtrend all day. VWAP held the downtrend all day. Dan, nice trading day. Scott saw and he conquered. Hope it was a good one for you as well. Beautiful ranges, though, of course. Norman, good afternoon. Jeff, good afternoon to you. Final 15 minutes of regular trading hour is why I avoid new trades in the last half hour. If I'm already flat, whipsaw into lack of liquidity, yes. There's a lot of posturing that last 15 minutes. There's a lot of cash that needs to be allocated. The bigger the allocation, the whippier the move. Bill, good afternoon. Nicholas, good afternoon to you as well. It's going to be real interesting to see if the S&Ps can take back 4330. Dan is talking about resilient markets despite relentless headlines. Yes, we do have our hands full of headline news these days, don't we? Tachyon, is anyone interested in a seminar that discusses what is futures, sequence of events after you request an order in trading platform, what goes on behind the scenes? It's a really interesting idea. we did do the trading foundations, and in futures, there is only one liquidity pool, unlike some stocks or Forex. Every order is sent to the exchange. There's a matching order there that keeps trades in a queue. When it's your turn, you get filled. So it's not like there's a bunch of different liquidity pools. Like, there's a liquidity pool in New York for S&Ps and a liquidity pool in Chicago for S&Ps. Not true. Everything goes to the CME. Everything goes to one liquidity pool, if that helps with your question. All right. Zorain, good afternoon. Alessandro, hello. Tachyon, 600 green on your first day. Mostly luck. Hey, I'll take luck. I'll take positive. Just be a good risk manager, Tachyon Amplifier. We're looking forward to seeing your success. And Mr. Presto, good afternoon to you as well. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's just go left to right here. Let's take a look at crude first and see what we're seeing in these markets, and maybe get a look at what we might be thinking for tomorrow. So this is the 30-minute. Let's start with the daily. We can see our continuation to the upside. Supply issues we were talking about this morning weren't going anywhere anytime soon. We talked about yesterday the open interest increase that occurred yesterday was encouraging of new business coming into the marketplace, and we certainly saw that new business coming in today. Not looking entirely fantastic as far as volume is concerned. A lot of what we're going to be depending on moving forward is going to depend on the amount of open interest that was accumulated or lost today in today's session. We'll see that tomorrow morning on the market forecast. We had very long overnight inventory, and our very long overnight inventory traders found what they were looking for early today. They saw buyers coming in regular trading hours and continuing the move that they started basically from settlement last night. There was almost no effort to go back and close any gaps. The market continues to move to the upside. Gap rules. If we can't close the gap relatively early, we go in the direction of the gap, and it certainly would have paid us today. 107.68 is a swing high that goes back to June 2014. It's the next swing high that we've yet to reach. Where do we get to today? 106.78, within 90 ticks of it. That swing high is going to be a visual level. If we continue to move to that direction, that is an obvious look. And it's really not that far away. Above that, we're looking at 112.24. 112.24 would be the next swing high that goes back to August of 2013. Almost 9 years ago, last time we were up here. Markets are fascinating. And for the S&Ps, we were looking at medium time frame structure being lower. It remains lower. We were looking at short time frame balance. Largely, we are in short time frame balance. We took a look at yesterday's low. We couldn't get to it. Took out yesterday's high by a little bit, but again, finishing the day centrally located in its third day in balance. What are we waiting for? What are we looking for? What are we posturing for? Why are we getting hedged? Well, the next 3 days, there is so much information. It's going to be difficult to weigh that information. I'll be starting my homework this afternoon, looking at information that I can see, wondering what information is coming out, how it's going to come out, how it's going to affect the markets, and trying to postulate what happens if there's any headline news. It's a lot of information. I think I'll actually be better off being patient, waiting for decent opportunities by looking at market-generated information. What is the market telling me? We're looking at the 30-minute chart. We had some overnight inventory to the short side. Well, those shorts were the first thing that got taken out. We took care of old business first. Once we closed that market back to settlement, sellers came in and took over. Now, where did we get to? Well, we got to really Friday's low, a little bit past that, and then we returned back into the range that we've been in now for 3 days. Pretty decent push to the downside. Buyers came back. Buyers came back. Was today a double distribution trend day? Nicholas? Good question. Let's see if I can bring that up. So it started out to be a double distribution trend day. Okay, we had a distribution of time and volume here. Now, right here, when we extended below this session here, it's kind of hard to see with that thing popping up, but this is the halfway mark. This is where we left single TPOs, but those single TPOs got cleared out. They got taken out. Okay. If we're going to take a look at this, let's take a look at this split. So when in this period, which is E period, we started to extend to the downside, to single line of TPOs. H period, G period, and H period came up and tried to close out those single TPOs, which would have left a double distribution trend day. But in this period here, L period, we came up and closed out the single TPOs, which creates one larger profile with no double distribution. It was really close to a double distribution trend day. Almost. We had to come up and take those out. We did leave some excess at the low here. All right. Really good question, Nicholas. Let's take a look and see if it was in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq were largely the same situation. We're still in a 3-day area of balance. The market hedging and posturing for the next 3 days with all of the information due out. Here's the 30-minute chart. It looks like we did leave a separate distribution. Take a look at the TPO chart. So yes, in the Nasdaq, it is a textbook double distribution trend day because we left our single line of TPOs here. Balance, imbalance, new area of balance. Very typical double distribution trend day. Similar but different, those markets. Gold. Well, we got our breakout to the upside. Volume, again, was not particularly gratifying on this breakout to the upside. We're going to have to see if we brought in some new business in higher open interest on this push to the upside. Here's the 30. Okay, we left the market. We left the opening range at the high of the session, which it did not hold for very long. We had some overnight longs. We had a degree of reconciliation of those longs once the buyers came in. Once we accepted above weekly kickoff high, it was pretty much buyers all the way to the end of the session. And by looking at the 12:30 close, we have a late spike to the upside. We'll be keeping an eye on that tomorrow morning because, as we know the rules, if we open inside or above the late spike, it's an indication of acceptance of higher pricing. Inside the late spike is not, of course, as strong an indication of higher pricing, however, as opening above it, and the base of the late spike becomes the support level. So right around 1937.50 is our base. We'll be watching that, and we'll see that again on the forecast tomorrow morning. As far as our last three markets here, the euro finally breaking out down below a level that it has not been to in 2 years. So we finally get a break and a close below weekly kickoff low as our dollar continues to ratchet towards that 52-week high. Here's the 30. The market opens, finds support initially at weekly kickoff low. Once it closed below it here in the regular trading hour session, this bar, where did it trade to? 111.15.50, 113.68 is weekly, 111.55 is weekly kickoff low. Once it was supportive, once it became resistant, it was resistant to the tick, giving us the opportunity to limit risk and to catch some of this move to the downside. Again, we're going to be looking to see how was the volume on this move. Not great, not tremendous. I want to see a whole bunch of open interest coming into the short side here if I'm going to be looking for continuation. Speaking of continuation, look at this. We know rates are going to be going higher, but so is the 10-year. Rollover is coming closer to an end. We had a short squeeze going here yesterday, indicated by a drop in open interest overall, but we did add open interest in the June contract. 30. Market opened. We're kind of already reconciling some overnight longs once the low was in right here at point of control. We discussed this morning because we were, this low here on this 8 o'clock bar was already in. And we said, this is an interesting spot here. I'd much rather be finding opportunities to look for longs at weekly kickoff low or settlement. We did point out this point of control here might also be an interesting opportunity for us. And it ended up being the right spot. Sometimes we got to find the right spot. Market continuing to move to the upside. The nat gas, it's a powder keg starting here. 9 days in range and in balance. Support at weekly kickoff low remains the 30-minute chart here. Our overnight low tested below it, rejected, opened. Some overnight longs already reconciled by the time this market opened. And we continued to try and push away from that weekly kickoff low. Still, we put this together. We still got a lot of rangy activity here. A lot of rangy activity. This market is building energy, if you'll pardon the pun. I hate that pun, but it just seems to fit. All right. So we've got a lot facing us in the next three sessions. Economic numbers, unknowns, uncertainties. It's going to be an interesting few days. I'm looking forward to sharing that time with you. Don't forget on Thursday. We have Make Hope Money. There's the registration. Make Hope Money at 8:25. We're going to go into a Zoom room. We're going to pick a few people to be able to talk. We're going to discuss trades. We're going to take those trades. We're all going to be able to vote on them. And the best part of it is no pressure on me. You guys are making the choices. And you better make Hope Money. Something new we're trying. Let us know how you like it. Let us know how we can improve anything in your mind about how we can do it better. Thursday is going to be the first one. Could be a train wreck. We don't know. We're going to see how it goes. We certainly don't want to waste your time. And then, of course, tomorrow we have group coaching. And here's the link for that. All right. So taking a look at what happened on this day in history. 1961, President Kennedy establishes the Peace Corps. 1692, the Salem witch hunt begins. Yikes. 1971, a bomb explodes in the Capitol building. 1969, New York Yankees star Mickey Mantle retires on this day. 1872, Yellowstone Park is established. President Grant signs the bill creating the nation's first national park at Yellowstone. As far as this day in history, one of the coolest things that happened on this day, happy birthday, Roger Daltrey. Roger Daltrey was born on this day in 1944. The unbelievable singer of The Who. It's also Glenn Miller's birthday, born in 1904. Glenn Miller. If you don't know who he is, I just don't know what to say about that. On this day in 1975, the Eagles went number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Best of My Love. 1994. 1994, Justin Bieber was born in Canada on this date. Justin Bieber, the Biebmeister. My daughter and my wife love the Bieber. They call themselves Beliebers. Yeah, it's about enough of that. Get a little repetitive thing going on here. Just follow the good old flip coin strategy. You'll be okay, right? We shall do our best. Clio is owned by Oleg, somebody founder of Russian's aluminum group, who was sanctioned by the U.S. Clio dropped anchor off of Mala, capital of the Maldives. U.S. government will seize the vessel. Spencer, Canada can take him and Nickelback back. Yeah. Dan? All right. Well, let's call this a recap. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing everybody back here tomorrow morning on the market forecast. It's going to be an interesting few days. Again, looking forward to sharing them with you. Don't forget to pray for peace, for freedom, and for strength. Have a good night, everybody. See you again tomorrow morning, 7:45, same bat time, same bat channel. Get some rest. Be good to yourself. I know it's Fat Tuesday. Have 1 or 2 hurricanes, but take it easy. We got a lot of business to do tomorrow. And rest up. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Keep praying. Tack you on. Peace. See you tomorrow morning.